2026. My own hands instead of gawking at the LinkedIn post. I said, enough of it. Let me take my degree, my skills, my interests, and see what I can come up with. And I landed on copywriting. The beautiful thing about freelancing and entrepreneurship is you can kind of make it whatever you want. So if I were to start a copywriting business all over again in 2026, I do these things. Number one, pick an industry or some type of specialty. Like I mentioned, I'm specifically a website copywriter for CPG brands. I don't just do one-off emails. I'm not someone that you can hire to do social media captions. I want to do your websites. I want to do the big things. And additionally, I want to do your brand messaging, your brand story, your mission statements, your taglines, things like that. Everything that's around building your brand, anything branding related that doesn't have like a direct KPI, like sending an email to then convert that email subscriber to go to your website and purchase something. Like I want to do the big dog things that really make a big impact. Now, people can hire me for a plethora of things if they hire me for my two big dogs. Like I have lots of add-ons like email segmentation, copy, some blog writing, but my main services are going to be that brand messaging and that website copy. Now, I get that there is a lot of conflicting advice about niching down. Sometimes you can put yourself in a box, you can kind of like lose other opportunities, but I notice specifically when it comes to being a specialist in the freelance world, people want to hire people that have specific experience in their industry, especially when it comes to copywriting. If somebody owns a product business, they do not want somebody that only has copywriting experience in finance. Not unless you are kind of like somebody they know already a little bit and they're like, oh, I already have a report for you, so I can give you a shot. But if you just somebody they don't know, they're likely not going to hire you. But like I mentioned, if you don't want to specialize in a specific target industry, be a specific type of copywriter. Whether that just be somebody that writes blogs, social media campaigns, websites, advertising. If you're not going to specify the industry, at least specify the type of copywriting you're going to do. Two, this is also very important. Choose a service structure. What do I mean like that? How are you going to work? What are you going to charge and how are you going to determine that? Are you going to be on a retainer? Are these one-off projects? Do you want to work in maybe like a part-time capacity? How does that work for you? For me personally, all of my copywriting projects are project-based. I don't want to be your in-house. I don't want to be freelance, stuck with you, and you just hire me and send me a retainer for different projects. I want to work on a project with you for a certain amount of weeks, pass you your goods, and if in the future you want to add on something extra, you could just hit me back up because we already kind of have a rapport in the background. But I don't want to be anyone's like ongoing freelance employee. Basically, I don't want retainers. I don't want to charge hourly, so I have to hit a certain amount of hours every single week and make sure I'm getting my money's worth. I don't want to handle that, so I base the price on the project, but that is completely up to you. Some people like a bit more consistency when it comes to their paychecks and things like that, so it may make more sense to be on a retainer. And also, depending on the specialty and the niche you chose, a retainer may make more sense than somebody like me who does project based. You only have one website, so you only need a copywriter to write your website one time. Your mission statement and taglines, those don't really change, so you only need a copywriter to write those one time. But this is all personal preference. So once you determine the niche or the specialty, determine the capacity in which you would like somebody to hire you as their copywriter. Number three, get a website. I absolutely hate my website. It is very janky, and I'm a website copywriter. That's kind of crazy. But at the end of the day, something is better than nothing. I understand a lot of people use social media for their portfolios and things like that. But if you want to be somebody that turns this into a business and not just a side hustle, you have to have a website. It's a non-negotiable. Thankfully, there's templates like Squarespace and Showit that kind of like have all this, and all you got to do is a plug and play situation. But even if it's the cheapest website possible, you have to have a website. Again, you want to make this your business, not just something you do on the side. Get a website. There will always be somebody telling you that you don't need a website and you can use social media. I don't know how they are getting these big projects with high budgets if they don't have a website. If you can't get one right away, I recommend at least making some type of portfolio on a PDF. Use a template from a website like Canva or something like that, but don't just use your social media as your website, especially when it comes for something like copywriting. Like if you do somebody's, I don't know, blog post, if you're a blog copywriter, what are you going to do? Post the entire blog in a carousel? That doesn't make sense. Just remember, a website is not just a place for you to get clients, for people to book, but it's a way for potential clients to get to know you. You may be an amazing copywriter, but once they get to know you, they're like, oh, you're probably not my vibe. This isn't probably the copywriter for me, and vice versa. So it's a way to get to know you, your mission, what you stand for as a copywriter, or your business, who you want to serve, things like that. Fourth, this is a non-negotiable. You have to create a network. Thankfully with social media, it makes it a lot easier, but being able to have a relationship with people that I meet online that are in either copywriting or they're adjacent. So that could be designers, that could be social media marketers, social media managers, founders of businesses I would potentially serve. Being able to just have a relationship and just talk about the industry in general, not even on I might potentially work with them one day. That is a major reason why you also just in general want to have a network. But like, you kind of are only able to evolve if you know other human beings in your industry. You're only able to keep up with trends and what's going on if you are aware of your surroundings. And again, it's just nice to always have somebody you know in your industry. But on the networking side, this is somebody that could potentially recommend you for some work, whether it be work that they have or somebody that they know might bring it up and they're like, oh yeah, I have a friend who's a copywriter for this specific industry, let me recommend you to them, and vice versa. Like, remember when I said go back to pick a niche? I have 2 designers in CPG that I keep on standby. So whenever somebody reaches out to me for copywriting services and they don't have a designer, I'm like, bet, I know 2 designers you can pick from. Here's their website. This is all their work. It has their prices on there. They don't have to email them and ask them, hey, what are your rates? How long does a project take? Because it's already on their website. Remember, I tell you, all these things matter. All these things stacked up are going to make your business extremely efficient and make it so much more enjoyable to work with you as a freelancer. Moral of the story, the service industry is not an industry where you can afford to not know anyone. Use social media to be social. I was going to say lastly, but I might have one more after this. But for this one, a lot of freelancers in general who have more of the corporate experience don't want to do this, understandably so, but you kind of in a way need to be a content creator. I feel as though in the world we live in, you could be horrible at something, but if you have a following, if you have a presence, people are more likely going to gravitate towards you, basically. I know for a fact that there are copywriters that are more amazing than me. They've worked with bigger brands and had these bigger results, but I get told often by clients that they just like my personality. They didn't even go look at my portfolio. They saw a video of me talking about something passionately, a specific subject, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to work with her. I love that she's an expert and I love that her personality is X, Y, and Z. We would be a good vibe. I want to hire them. Boom. So think of social media as a way to not just have to be so resume heavy, because I even feel like in the corporate space, sometimes when somebody sees your resume before they meet you, it's kind of like, but you don't really know me. Like, I have to be able to explain my resume and my expertise. But sometimes, in my opinion, I feel like the beautiful thing about the world we live in now with social media is they don't just have to see my work. They can get to know me so they can kind of understand my work, if that makes sense. But hey, I personally have only got my clients from social media, so this is something me being biased about. This is something I'm talking about that is a direct reflection of my business. That is where my clients come from, so I have to be on social media. And last but not least, if all of this is kind of overwhelming and you need help working with it, thankfully I am now offering one-on-one services for copywriters or any type of creative professional to get their, grounding. If you are interested, you can go ahead and click in the description box below to inquire for the service. I'd love to work with you on a quick little 60-minute call to kind of help you get your freelance copywriting business off the ground, just to get you started, okay? But if you already knew all of this and you were still kind of like, okay, now how do I actually run a freelance copywriting business? I actually did a video talking about all the investments, all of the tools that I use to run my copywriting business, and you can go ahead and check that out right now.